All right, welcome to Trendy Options. Um, let's get started here. So, with something that a lot of members and just, in general, people always want to know is position sizing. How can I position size to really gain the benefit of doing very well in the market? Well, first things first, as a disclaimer, nothing is safe in the market. I'm not a financial advisor. All I can tell you is from experience and also learning for myself that it is harder to do this than to talk about, okay? Because there's a lot of emotion and fears that are involved with position sizing. But one thing I want you to concentrate on is an acronym, and I just made this up. I just think CCR. Anybody know the band CCR? I think it's Clear Credence Revival, I believe. So just remember that. CCR, confidence, consistency, and resiliency. Okay. So first of all, it takes a lot of confidence to pull the trigger because typically when we pull the trigger, it's after we've already lost some money, or sometimes it's when we've made a lot of money, but you doubt yourself. You're like, can I make money again? Right? Consistency is very important because I want to tell you about it's a numbers game, okay? And so ideal, you want to be taking trades that give you a return of 3 on your money. So what I mean by that is you're going to risk 1 for a 3 return, okay? So if we're going to risk $100, we want $300 in return, all right? Now the way we trade here at Trendy Options, we're able to get into some high probability trades, waiting for and being patient in our zones, and also using some really cool Fibonacci stuff. Um, and so we're able to do that. But what's important is that you actually stay consistent with the amount of trade, so maybe the amount of contracts, and also how much are you putting into that contract. Now, there are some rule of thumbs out there. You can use a percentage. You can say, hey, every time I take a trade, I'm going to trade 2% of my account. Well, let's say that you have $5,000. Okay. 2% of your account is going to be $100, right? So in this case, you have to trade $100. Now, let's look at, I'm going to use Roku here. Okay. I'm going to always give you targets. You got your T1, T2, and then sometimes you even have T3. Let's just go ahead and put T3 up here. Okay. Let's pretend you have that $5,000 account, and let's pretend that you're going to make sure that you only and you always stick to $100 for your trade. Okay. Let's actually go up just a tad on that. Let's just say that you're going to spend $200 every time you do a trade. Okay, $200. Because let's be honest, it's kind of hard to only go out there and spend $100. Okay, it really is. Unless you're taking lottos and you're like, hey, I'm just gonna spend $100 on these contracts. Okay, sometimes they're really cheap, like on expiration day or something like that. Okay, so let's just pretend, hypothetically, say $200 every time you take a trade. Okay, so say we're looking at Roku here, and you're sitting in Trendy Options, and the moderator, myself, says, okay, guys, we're going for T1 here at 41.37. Current price is 39.24. Okay. Now, the first thing we're going to do is, first of all, we're not going to go for T3, guys. Okay. This is the long shot. We're shooting for T1 and T2. And ideal, if you take 3 positions in this account, okay, and you sell 2 of them at T1, you're going to make enough money for T2 just to ride. Okay. Because we're looking, again, 3 to 1. 3 return, okay, for a 1 risk. In this case, we're going to risk $200. We want $600 back, okay? And then that other one is free for you, okay? Now, let's go over here and look at, let's say, the trade grid. Okay, I want Roku. Say that we buy out, I don't know. I got some positions here right here. 6th July. Okay. Now, I took the positions at 120 and 140. Now you should be asking yourself, remember, you want more than one contract, okay? You want to be able to sell a couple of those contracts at that T1 and sell the next at T2 and T3. All right? So position size, staying consistent. Now, you're going to ask yourself, well, how do I buy multiple contracts that are for $140? Now let's go back. This is a $42 call. My T3 comes in at 47 and my T2 is at 43.86. Ideal, you don't want to go higher than T2. If it happens, it happens. But we want to shoot for T1 to T2. Okay? So let's go back to, so T2 being 43.86, let's go back to the trade. The 42s are too expensive for you, right? Because you're only spending 200, you can't get more than one. Okay? But looky here, if we go to 42.5 and 43, we're expecting 43.80. You could buy two of these, right? Well, you could buy, I'm sorry, $200, you could buy two of the 43s. And what we're looking for is T2 at 43.85. So in this case, you could follow the moderator and just buy one position here, right? And you could, or you could buy the 43s for 95 by 115 and actually get more than one. Yes, you couldn't get your three, but you could get two, right? And this gives you the opportunity to sell for profits and decide what you want to do with the second one. Now, what you need to understand is that if you do not stick to plan, okay, let's say that you always buy $200 worth of something, and one day you put $200 into Tesla because let's just say you like electric vehicles, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to buy two of these. But Tesla goes to zero. It expires worthless. You lost 200 bucks. Now let's say you go over to Amazon, and because, I don't know, maybe your Prime membership was canceled because you forgot your payment, okay? And instead of buying $200 worth, you only buy $100 worth, and it goes up 2x. Or maybe it goes up 1.5. And you didn't put the 200 on it like you typically would. Now your losses trump your winner in Amazon because you decided not to be consistent. In this game, it is all about math, and I cannot say it over and over and over again. It's all about the math. For example, if this week, Trendy Options, I believe we came in at 80.3% winners, okay? And the rest were losers, 17%, something like that, 18%, I don't know. But it was really low, right? If you went into this week, this past week, not being consistent, then your P&L most likely would have still been positive, right? But if you would have stayed very consistent on your trades, you would have made a lot more money than I made. I wasn't consistent, and that's okay. I'll take that on the chin. All right. But what I am focusing on here going forward is making sure that I spend about 2% of the account that I'm trading with here, which is roughly, puts me around $600 to $800 to $1,000 a trade. So that's what I will be concentrating on. Now remember, I'm not a financial advisor. These are just my opinions. This is what I've seen, but there's a lot of things that we can look at, right? Again, we're going to pull out this nice little spreadsheet here. Okay. And I hope you guys can see this. I know that, sometimes the clarity here on YouTube is not the greatest. But what I'll tell you is, if you had traded like I traded, you would have roughly came out with, I don't know, let's just say $1,000 to $1,800. Even this spreadsheet shows $1,800. This is straight from my brokerage account. And then here, if you would have stuck with, and if you notice here, I got two here, and I got one there, and two there, two here, one there. If you would have just stayed with 2 for every trade, you would have doubled. And obviously, if you would have stayed with 4, you would have made 7,000. 6, 11, 8, 14,000. 10 contracts, 18,000. And I know we had some members in the room that actually did very, very well this past week. But again, I think it comes down to CCR, confidence, consistency, and resiliency. So let's talk about being resilient. It's a word that I learned when I was in the Air Force. And I tell you what, resiliency is so important. But to just, talk about something else here, you have to be uncomfortable. Let's turn that around. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? You understand that. So the most successful traders are okay with being uncomfortable because they understand that perhaps, hey, I got to take a look at myself in the mirror. Maybe every week I trade, I fall in, I don't know, 60 to 80% of winners opposed to losers. And my winners always outweigh my losers, so therefore the math only makes sense to be consistent. Am I right? Think about it, right? If you were to take 10 trades, and let's say that out of those 10 trades, only 30% gave you a return of 3x, you could lose 7 of those trades and still come out on top or come out for break even. Just think about that. Okay, I've tried to do the math in my head while I'm talking to you. But write that down. Check it out. Do a $1,000 trade. Okay, 3 of them you get 3x, and the other 7 you lose. Tell me what you get. It's very important to stay consistent, right? Stay confident, and always practice resiliency. It's the power ability to return an original form after being bent and compressed or stretched. It's your ability to recover from those feelings you have when the market beats you down, right? When the market beats you down and you do not want to pull the trigger, but the setup says take it, you have to be confident and you have to take it. And at the end of the week, look at the math. Doesn't mean you're always going to win. There's going to be weeks that no matter what you do, things just don't work out. Okay, and that's the time you probably should take a break, go for a run, take in some fresh air, and just enjoy life. I hope this quick demonstration on how you should take, trade, size, and be confident, but consistent. I really want that to sink in. Consistency is what's going to help you in your trading endeavors. I really feel it will. And I want you to really take a hard look at your P&L and what you've been doing and answer those questions. Have you been taking the same trade over and over? Meaning, are you putting the same amount every time you take a trade? If not, there's something we can do. I need to work on it as well. I'm probably the most transparent trader you will find. Besides everybody in this room, I know we're all transparent to one another, and I respect that. But for a fact, we all can work on stuff and we can all get better, and that's why we're here. And I'm excited to be on this team with you guys. And whatever we can do to help one another, I'm all for it. So anyways, if you got any feedback or any questions, please let me know. Have a great one, and we'll see you in the room.